Hey you guys, back for week 2 of the exam review. So week 2 we ended up talking about the hydrosphere, so hydrology or the study of water. And one of the big fundamentals of this was the water cycle. We went through every stage of the water cycle and were able to use that as a basis of learning some other little bit more detailed information. So we just went through it in general. We talked about evapotranspiration or evaporation, transpiration, and the differences between the two, and how they both end up really attracting the water up into the atmosphere to make the next step of the cycle happen, which is cloud formation and cloud movement. So we talked a bit about those and some of the different ideas behind that, such as uplift and how the clouds actually are formed and then how they're transported around by geographic features. We got into precipitation. When the clouds became too heavy, they do drop either water, sleets, hail, all different types of precipitation depending on the temperature. And that really hits the surface of the earth, where it can either be held in already made basins of water, or it ends up hitting the ground and becomes runoff, depending on the ground cover, and makes its way into the next stage, which is the streams, rivers, and groundwater, and finally back into the major sink, which is the ocean. So all of that encompassed the water cycle. We went on and talked a bit about energy and how we can get water from energy, and there was a YouTube video on the slides about how a dam actually gets energy made, so you might want to check out those as well as maybe some other technologies or alternate energy technologies. We talked a bit about water consumption, and it ended up being most people's sought behavior choice when we did our behavior challenge. Water consumption is an interesting one because most people don't actually know how their water gets from the lake into their house and how that system works. And also on the flip side, when there's wastewater goes down our sinks or down our sewage, how that gets treated and makes its way back into the lake. So a couple interesting concepts there. One of the slides went over some of the common concerns that all different types of, from government to business to personal, have in some of these water issues, so common concerns for water. And finally, the government's help. So the government has specific mandates that it needs to do to be able to reach our water goals. There's different departments taking care of different things, and Canada, for the most part, is doing quite well. Our vast reserves of fresh water are making us a leader in at least accessible, potable drinking water for the people. And because we have so much, it's hard to really make a huge dent in the pollution of it, even though we're doing a good job of that. But we become a leader in the amount of clean water as well. One of the last couple slides really had to do with some interesting concepts around water, and specifically about the point source dilemma. So we talk about these waters being polluted quite a bit, but if someone isn't able to prove exactly how these waters are getting, if there's no tailpipe leading directly into that lake, or it's hard to say who caused the atmosphere pollution to then cause the precipitation that pollutes the water, becomes an interesting dilemma, I guess, is in being able to point someone responsible and maybe even take legal action. So that was one, and the slideshow ended up with a very brief discussion on aquaculture and the production of fish and fish farms through both technologies that are both already in existing water, and now we're moving towards farms that are totally on land, have a water system, have a water ecosystem that the fish are able to be managed, be raised as a food product, and shipped to the market. So that's really how the hydrosphere worked out. I hope you enjoyed your 5-minute review. That was a good class.